Welcome to Trial Site News Weekly Roundup. Today we'll be talking about a New York Supreme Court judge order which gave an 80-year-old COVID-19 patient on a ventilator ivermectin. We'll discuss what happened and how she is doing today. Then, the Nigerian government is making moves to fund ivermectin research targeting COVID-19 with IverCovid program. And so, from Trial Site News, I'm Adrian, and the Weekly Roundup starts now. So, a judge ordered the Millard Fillmore Suburban Hospital to allow an 80-year-old woman to be treated with ivermectin. According to the family and their attorney, the treatment saved the life of Judith Smentkiewicz. Although not yet approved for the treatment of COVID-19, according to court documents, the woman's daughter referred to it as a miracle drug, as do her attorneys Lorigo and Jon Minear. So, what happened here? Well, Buffalo News journalist Dan Herbeck reported that the patient's son, Michael Smentkiewicz, said that hospital officials had told him and his sister back on December 31st that their mother's chance of survival as an 80-year-old COVID-19 patient on a ventilator was about 20%. Now, Ms. Smentkiewicz's son told journalist Herbeck that we did a lot of research. We read about ivermectin when the results sounded very promising, and we decided we had to try something different. We pressured the doctor in the ICU to give it to her, and he finally agreed. And so, by January 2nd, according to court papers, the hospital doctor approved the first drug of the anti-parasite drug. So what was the result? Well, according to court papers filed by her family, she made a complete turnaround. Apparently, within 48 hours, she was taken off the ventilator and transferred out of the ICU. However, once she was transferred to a different wing of the hospital, doctors in that unit refused to give her any more doses of the drug, and her condition quickly declined. Now, when Michael was asked about this, he said that we were astounded when they refused to give her any more doses. And so enter the lawyers. Lorigo was then called, and litigation followed. The hospital, operated by Kaleida Health, opposed the family's request in court. They argued that medical care should be made by doctors and not the courts. However, Judge Nowak didn't see their way, and on January 8th ordered the hospital to immediately administer the drug ivermectin. Now, the family's attorney said that in 46 years as an attorney, I've never seen another case where a family had to get a court order to continue a treatment that had already been started by a hospital. Now, Michael reports that his mother's condition is improving again with the administration of ivermectin, saying that she called me. Her voice was raspy, but it was so exciting to hear her voice. She's sitting up in a bed. She's off the ventilator, and, he added, that according to doctors from the hospital, they told him his mother appears to have turned the corner in her fight against the virus. And so, as we have chronicled here at Trial Site News extensively, mounting data continues to lead a growing number of physicians to consider it an important treatment to help combat COVID-19, along with vaccines and other approaches such as monoclonal antibody-based products under emergency use authorization. Now, it is important to note that although ivermectin is approved for fighting parasites and lice, it is not yet approved for use by the FDA. However, the National Institute of Health's COVID-19 Treatment Guidelines panel recently issued a change in position on ivermectin in what appears to be a softening of the stance on the drug after having met with the FLCC and Dr. Andrew Hill recently, which at the end of this video you'll find a link that will take you to our discussion on that story. And so, while the U.S. research establishment has been resistant to ivermectin up until now, the accumulating data from randomized controlled trials from around the world, there finally seems to be signs of change. Now, for the second half of the Roundup today, we're going to stay on the ivermectin track and talk about the Nigerian federal government, which has commissioned a team of researchers to investigate the efficacy of ivermectin as a potential treatment for COVID-19. Known as IverCovid, this group just might impact the world's approach to treating COVID-19. or at least in the developing world. Now, Nigeria, like many nations in sub-Saharan Africa, have been spared the worst of the pandemic to date as compared to places like Europe, here in the United States, or even in South Africa. Now, the Nigerian government is fascinated with the fact that the drug is already in use in the country to combat river blindness. The Vice President Yemi is considering how to leverage this African nation's considerable experience and understanding of the drug, given growing data pointing toward its potential benefits as a treatment and possibly even a prophylactic medication targeting COVID-19. The Vice President was quoted as saying that Nigerians are at the cutting edge of scientific research into the COVID-19 treatment. And so, as reported by this study, a study called a randomized controlled trial for the repurposing of ivermectin in the management of COVID-19 is led ongoing by IverCovid and is supported by the Lagos University Teaching Hospital with Principal Investigator Professor Femi Babalola, as well as Professor Chris Bode, Chief Medical Director of Lagos University Teaching Hospital, also known as LUTH. Now, the study authors noted that ivermectin isn't meant as a replacement for social distancing, mask wearing, proper hygiene, or vaccination. Rather, it is a way to overcome gaps or vulnerabilities. Apparently, the IverCovid group has forwarded its findings to the National Agency for the Food and Drug Administration and Control, or NAFDAC. Now, the IverCovid study was established to investigate the efficacy of two-dose regimen of ivermectin plus the standard of care treatment for COVID-19, as compared to standard of care plus placebo in Nigerians who are COVID-19 positive and have a viral load measurement. Also worth noting, the IverCovid research team has recently shared their ongoing findings with the World Health Organization concerning the usefulness of ivermectin during the pandemic. This is in addition to what we have also reported on at TrialSiteNews.com, that an organization, Unitaid, affiliated with the World Health Organization, is now conducting a meta-analysis study of the safety and efficacy of ivermectin in relation to COVID-19. Now, the interim meta-analysis thus far, involving 11 randomized controlled trials with 1,452 patients, evidences faster time to viral clearance, shorter duration of hospitalization, 43% higher rates of clinical recovery, and 83% improvement in survival rates. Now, according to the meta-analysis that Dr. Hill has found so far, ivermectin shows considerable promise as a generic drug to be considered in a comprehensive approach to take on and overcome COVID-19. However, for any funded research, the researcher doesn't have enough data as of yet, but he is certainly closing in on the target, which, in a future video, we may delve deeper into the Unitaid meta-analysis. And that, my friends, brings this episode to a close. As always, it's great to be here with you, and I look forward to seeing you all again. From Trial Site News, I'm Adrian, and this has been the Weekly Roundup.